Landon's initial matrimony, which materialized due to his youthful exuberance and what appeared to be intense affection at the time, disintegrated after a few years of coexistence. In that duration, they were able to bring a son into the world. Though still quite young, Landon, his first wife, loved with unwavering passion, making the breakup particularly arduous. However, this did not sever their bond with their child. On the contrary, Landon made it a priority to devote as much of their free time as possible to their son. Afterward, Landon encountered a plethora of women, practically all of whom aspired to hear a marriage proposal from his lips. Yet those words remained unspoken. Frustrated and disheartened, the rejected suitors gravitated toward more diligent men. Landon had no objection to remarrying, but they exercised patience, as none of these women captivated them enough to be a permanent companion. 35 years passed in this manner until his milestone birthday arrived. He commemorated the occasion in a swanky restaurant, which exuded an ambience of liveliness. A multitude of guests graced the celebration: business partners, childhood friends, and relatives. Peyton served as the administrator of this establishment, capturing Landon's undivided attention throughout the festivities. He regarded her as exquisite. When he mustered the courage to request her number at the end of the evening, Peyton did not reject him. Instead, she exhibited a blatant interest in the mature man. His friends questioned his peculiar choice, asserting that his chosen paramour was undeniably too young for him. With little kids, one should expect nothing but trouble. They lack intellect and imagination, they'd admonished Landon, who, blinded by love, responded with a contented grin. But deep down, you're envious of me, he retorted. You wouldn't mind having a youthful belle in your bed. Eventually, their talks led nowhere, and out of the blue, Landon popped the question to Peyton. Speaking ill of his buddy's spouse was out of the question for anyone. Days turned into weeks, and Landon found himself unable to contain his joy with his youthful bride. To him, life couldn't be more perfect. Business was thriving, and his personal life was bursting with happiness. Peyton went out of her way to make her husband content, initially keeping her own opinions at bay. Naturally, this facade didn't last forever, and her true personality started to peek through. Landon, however, found this revelation only made his wife more captivating and intriguing. In the third year of their marriage, they had their first significant blowout. After the heated exchange, Peyton stormed out with her purse, not returning until the wee hours of the morning, noticeably inebriated. This particular year of their union turned into a roller coaster of disputes, leaving Landon deeply distressed. To him, their relationship had been flawless, and he was genuinely baffled by the sudden turmoil. One afternoon, after yet another dispute, he drove to work in a somber mood, brooding over the recent argument. At that precise moment, his business partner, Miles, rang him up, suggesting they meet for lunch to go over some plans. "Why the long face today?" Miles remarked as they settled into the cafe. Though Landon hadn't intended to spill personal matters, the quarrel with his wife came tumbling out of his mouth unprompted. Miles listened quietly, nodding along, before suddenly asking, "Hey, is everything okay in the bedroom?" Landon raised an eyebrow, clearly taken aback by the stranger's probing questions. "Well, of course. Why do you ask? What's the point? My second wife used to behave like that when she was seeing a trainer on the side," the man replied. "She carried on like a teenager, thinking I wouldn't catch on. During that time, our intimacy dwindled. She pretty much lost interest in me." Landon mulled over the stranger's revelation. He had never considered the possibility that his marital squabbles could stem from such a cause. This idea was unfamiliar territory, an uncharted landscape for him. The notion clung to his thoughts all day, gnawing at him, unable to discern exactly why Miles' comments had struck such a chord. In his search for clarity, Landon scoured online articles about recognizing a cheating partner. This newfound knowledge set him on a path of vigilance. He started scrutinizing Peyton's behavior closely. Initially, everything seemed normal. His wife carried on as usual, and their nighttime routines remained unchanged. Yet the arguments didn't cease. In fact, Landon began to note a pattern. Their fights always followed a sudden and inexplicable dip in Peyton's mood. A trivial matter would quickly escalate into a full-blown argument, culminating in her storming off, yelling that she despised him, and vanishing into the night. Seeking to ease his worries, the man employed a private investigator to shadow Peyton and observe her activities over a period of time. Landon tasked the PI with a crucial assignment: to keep tabs on Peyton's whereabouts following their arguments and identify anyone she met with. Landon endeavored to act normally, engaging with Peyton as if nothing was amiss, careful not to let on any hint of suspicion. Deep down, he cherished his wife immensely and was adamant about avoiding a split. In his mind, he harbored a perfect vision of their future together, a vision that decidedly did not entertain the notion of infidelity. The investigator, going by the name Hudson, agreed to get in touch once he had gathered substantial information. Hudson assured he would reach out to him, catalyzing a wave of anxiety in Landon with every ring of his phone thereafter. At long last, Hudson made contact, and the two set up a rendezvous. Landon awaited the detective's arrival, parked outside a bustling business hub, the seconds seemingly stretching into eternity. Suddenly, a soft tap on the glass startled him. Hudson then slid into the passenger seat beside him. "Hello, what have you discovered?" Landon blurted out, unable to contain his impatience any longer. Hudson exuded calmness. Greeting the client, he passed along a padded envelope stuffed with snapshots and documents. This was routine for him. Deception and betrayal were daily facets of his work. He'd grown so accustomed to such disloyalty that he viewed it as just part of the human condition. The man kicked off his tale with a series of photographs, detailing what he observed and what he could piece together. In some pictures, Peyton was in the company of familiar faces: her mother, her sister, and close friends. One had her stepping into a beauty parlor, another strolling through a posh boutique. Up to this point, everything appeared harmless. But then, Hudson captured a moment when Peyton dashed out after a spat at home. She was seen leaving the building and slipping into a heavily tinted SUV. Landon felt a cold shiver in his stomach. None of Peyton's acquaintances drove a vehicle like that. The driver was elusive, his face never caught on camera, yet some shots revealed it was unmistakably a man. Together, Peyton and this mysterious driver arrived at a club. Photos showed him holding her close, his hands resting awkwardly low on her hips, while she smiled with a tinge of embarrassment. Landon handed Hudson the payment, returned everything he had brought in the envelope, and hurried to Peyton's house to resolve everything. He was aware that his wife had gone to meet her friends and knew their meeting spot. Upon reaching the restaurant, he stormed into the room with the fiery intensity of an enraged beast, clutching photographs of his wife and her lover. Peyton immediately noticed him, sensing the foreboding expression on his face. In an outburst, he tossed the photos at her, exclaiming, "What have you been up to?" He seasoned his words with vulgarity directed at Peyton. She and her friends stood motionless, frozen in a single stance. A hush fell over the restaurant, only disturbed by the faint background music. Landon attempted to strike Peyton, but before he could make a move, a guard approached from behind and restrained him, securing him against his own body. The betrayed husband felt shattered and humiliated. That very day, Landon collected whatever belongings of Peyton he could find and deposited them near the garbage bin on the street. He harbored no compassion, despite having purchased those items with his own money. He resolved to communicate with his wife solely through a lawyer, despite her relentless pleas for forgiveness. He remained resolute and unwavering in his decision. Through mutual acquaintances, he learned that his friends distanced themselves from Peyton following the incident at the restaurant, and her lover refused to lend a hand in her time of need. As a result, the divorced woman had nothing left but to seek refuge with her parents and eventually return to her previous position as an administrator. Peyton lost everything due to her foolish desire to have the best of both worlds.